Ladies and gentlemen, there's news that broke out of Channel News Asia that described the plight of many Singaporeans in a very difficult situation as many of their JB house purchase went sour, and this time is of a very big magnitude scale. Let's watch on, shall we? To be fair, I actually covered this topic some time back, but what surprises me right now is mainstream media have actually talked about it and uncovered that the scale of the abandonment and this sick JB condo market is at a scale that's far bigger than I originally thought. So many people are trapped in this sick and abandoned project right now, and there are a lot of lessons to be learned. Let's watch on, shall we? So, in the latest news, which I will post up as a link in the description, thousands are trapped in some of this sick and abandoned JB condo. The buyers are stuck in sick and abandoned project, and some of them, in fact, many of them, have been waiting for more than a decade, and these projects were uncompleted since then. And unfortunately, many of these families are still paying the loans for these mortgages that are related to abandoned JB houses. There are a couple of case studies. One of them I've covered before. I'll touch it briefly again, but now the scale is much more. First, of course, is swimming coach Chu. His story has broke out some weeks ago. He paid $1 million. Now the location has been identified. It's this place called Sovereign Bay. Financed the purchase of this condo with a $300,000 loan that he mortgaged his Sengkang executive condominium from. Unfortunately, Sovereign Bay was never finished construction, and the reality is that he's still paying about $2,000 a month for the mortgage. So he's still juggling coaching and Grab driving. And it's very sad because the project now is listed abandoned. I think there's no hope of it, no hope of the condo ever coming to pass. There are 12 sick condo projects in Johor Bahru, and the word sick is an official title. It simply means 30% delayed or expired agreement with no progress. JB happened to be the one of the states that has the most abandoned projects. Another condo project that have come to pass come to awareness in being abandoned is this thing called the Peak. After 13 years of waiting, Australian couple bought it at 180,000 Aussie dollar, and that was done in 2012. In 2012, my kids were still very young. I just came back from US, and since then, still nothing, right? The project was not completed. They stopped paying. And the Australian couple dream to retire in JB under MM2H visa is completely gone. Another Singaporean, Kenneth Tan, has another nightmare. He's a HDB dweller. He paid 1.7 million ringgit in 2013. Those days, 1.7 million ringgit is a hell lot of money. And the developer went silent, and he's resigned that he will lose a mega 6-digit number. And since then, the ringgit has fallen significantly as well. Another casualty is called the Jade Palace. It's launched by a China group called Greenland Group. Due for completion in 2020. We know what happened in 2020. COVID broke off. And this Zhang Weihua bought a unit at $1.2 million in ringgit terms, sorry. And that was in 2017. Nothing has been done in terms of completion. So the unit was taken over by MB World. I think it's a Malaysian company, rebranded Vista Tiara. It's unclear at this point in time what happened to this money. Now, a lot of people think that you just buy, instead of buying those that are on marketing material, let's go buy, units or projects that are about to be completed. Well, even completed projects have issue. Country Garden Danga Bay, 4 towers planned, only 3 towers built. The remaining plot has a lot of water-filled pits, mosquito breeding ground for years. There was an Italian dweller there actually complained, offered even to fix his problem because he's an architect or civil engineer. Just all the residents' complaints just fell on deaf ears, and the resident demand action, but unfortunately, nothing has been done. Why all these things has happened? Well, something unique across many of these projects is most of these units were built by Chinese developers. and they were targeted largely towards the Chinese buyers. So in about 2020, China came out with this three red line policy. You can read about it. It basically cut off all the credit lines, and a lot of developers were hit. They also stopped the currency from flowing out of China. As a result, the foreign buyers could not buy, and the Chinese developers could not have the money. And many of these projects came to a crushing end. And that coupled with COVID sent all these developers down the grave. So this is what actually happened. Now, Singaporeans are also hit. 1/3 of sovereign bay buyers are Singaporeans. And they marketed this condo heavily in Singapore. And as a result, many Singaporeans bought them. And as a result, many Singaporeans, maybe in the thousands, got burned. Now, clearly, a lot of people bring the mindset of Singapore towards overseas purchase. And unfortunately, other country laws are not the same as our laws. Malaysia do have laws that protect buyers, but unfortunately, in the early days, 10 years ago, many of these developers could escape. I think this kind of situation is a little bit rarer right now, but I wouldn't bet on it myself. The government of Malaysia did intervene, but I think it's a little bit too little and a little bit too late. They have rescued 1,260 projects. That's a lot. And 345 are still sick, and 108 is being abandoned. Now, it is clearly better, but not good. Now, basically, this is what a Singapore lawyer warned, and I think it's the right thing, and I'll give you my advice. Please do not bring your Singapore freaking mindset overseas. That cut across many things in business, in investment, property purchase, holidays, whatsoever. Do not bring your Singapore mindset overseas, assuming that whatever happens in Singapore will happen overseas. Singapore is it's a nirvana. It's a heaven on earth built by our wonderful government. And unfortunately, many people thought that the same would happen overseas. No, right? So when you buy property overseas, don't assume that those things that you're used to in Singapore will be the same in JB. So as a result, there are many human costs involved right now. Many property buyers are left with some ruins, and the emotional trauma is terrible. And many have lost six-digit figures in this JB property purchase. Let me give you a few advice that I always tell everybody, and I've told some of you as well. Number one, if you want to buy a JB project, or for that matter, other states as well, don't buy uncompleted projects. There are so many units available. Landed property, condo, all over, they are completed for a few years already. You can see whether they are good, the workmanship is good, the environment is good, whether there are people there or no people there. Why the hell are you going to buy uncompleted projects? Is there a need to do so? All right. So wait until the project is completed, people move in, then you select which one to buy. Yeah. And let me say this, condo has a higher risk than landed property. So I didn't buy a condo, I only bought a landed property. Number two, don't borrow money to buy overseas project. Now, if you cannot afford it, don't buy. You know why? Because you are foregoing money that you need for a house that you don't need, right? This is a logic that is very important. Do not give up assets and wealth that you need for luxuries that you don't need. So only when you have spares, then you go for it, and do not stretch yourself too much. It's really, really uncalled for. Number three is there's no need to buy a JB property if you are only going there for holidays or semi-retirement. Use Airbnb, hotels. They are all very nice, very cheap. And you could avoid all these heartaches, One property can fund gazillion hotel stays and Airbnb stays. You don't need, if you're only going to stay there a few days here, a few days in a month, or a few days per quarter, why do you need to buy one? Another important thing, do not call your Malaysian property purchase an investment. Investment means there is return. There is no return to talk about, okay? There is a huge, capital risk because of the strong Sing dollar against the depreciating ringgit. It's both a strong Sing dollar problem and a weak ringgit problem. So whatever you gain in capital gains, and they are capital gains, most likely will be wiped out by the depreciation of the ringgit. For some people who underestimated this, you really need a visa for long-term stay in Malaysia. And right now, the only viable option for most people is the MM2H. Now, MM2H visa is expensive, okay? And there are a lot of restrictions that require it. So you cannot just simply go in and stay for long term, right? Now, I move in and out of Singapore and Malaysia, so I don't really need a visa. On top of that, I have an APEC card, and that helps as well. But for most retirees, you won't be able to get an APEC card. So, so MM2H is your only option, and it's not easy. So finally, the key takeaway is this: JB property looks cheap, okay, but there are risks involved. So don't let those brochures, marketing events, and agents fool you. Okay, always buy completed and proven property. There's no need to risk your needed money for things that you don't need. Okay, so let me warn everybody again. This is Mr. Lu signing off from Europe, and I'll see you hopefully tonight. Bye bye.